What's going on, Soul Family? It's your boy Damien back with another installment here. I've been gone for a minute. I've been off in the deep. We'll just put it like that. I've been led by my spirit to make this video. Um, this video is pretty much making itself. So today I'm going to talk about self-realization, things related around this topic, such as ego death, identity, individuation, and divine chaos. So what brought about this topic is really my own personal experience I was met with on my own journey. I feel like once you get on this path, um, a lot of the times the path is leading you somewhere, and you feel this guidance. I'm talking to some chosen people today, and I know you understand where I'm coming from. You feel this guidance, and you see these signs, and you've been led somewhere, and of course you have an idea of kind of where this thing goes or what it's going to result in. I mean, that's why most people are on the path. Like, there's a level of incentiveness there for you that you've probably been shown visually in your imagination, right? And plus, there may be a level of fulfillment along the path too, because you know, as you grow, you definitely are going to encourage or help other people grow. And if you like are a person that is chosen, you're gonna have a heart for that. That's something that you're receptive to, seeing other people grow. So there's gonna be a part of your journey where you're gonna be met with nothing. It's gonna feel like all this divine guidance is disappeared, and it's just you. And you're gonna feel like intuitively you're gonna probably feel like, man, maybe this is just part of the path. But then there becomes something you may not foresee. There may be like this trickster energy, and there's these avatars that I read in in a book by Carl G. Jung. And one of the avatars is the jokester, the fool, and everybody kind of laughs at the fool because the fool is generally like on a different wavelength. And the fool can be like a joker too. He can be very scary because the wavelength the fool is on doesn't necessarily identify with the wavelength that the traditional or uh, collective people are on. So the fool the the fool archetype kind of like does things this way, does things that way, like almost like a rebel. And sometimes the fool is even a fool to the fool. So you you'll move into this archetype because there's no more guidance that's going on. There's no more symbols. There's no more signs. So now you're trusting your own your your own logic, your own emotions, your own mindset. You're trusting all these things for yourself. So you'll move into this energy and you may make some mistakes, and you may feel like these mistakes are going to cost you or these mistakes may be like a setback, or you may have failed, but these mistakes are very masterful. These mistakes are going to be the thing that lead you exactly where you're supposed to be, into a level of self-awareness that um, that only mistakes, or what people perceive as mistakes, can get you. And then the fool kind of flips if you don't completely trick yourself out into like the emotions of feeling like guilt, shame, regret, and all these bondage type emotions. Because this is the real test. The real test is, how are you handling life now? Because the spiritual journey is kind of like a spiral. If you're not divinely sent back to certain circumstances, uh, you will ultimately send yourself back to those circumstances to actually view it from a different perspective, or see, are you capable of viewing it from a different perspective? And this is where you're met with yourself again, and you may kind of reroute back to some things or some places or some people that you uh, may have left in the past, or moved past, you know. And you may be caught with these people, circumstances, places, things once again, and you're gonna realize that it's ultimately the same or worse as prior. And but it's not the experience that you're walking into that is the lesson. It's your response emotionally to the lesson, or not even to the lesson, to the circumstance. It's your response emotionally to the circumstance. Are you going to harbor emotions, emotional programming that puts you in a cage? Or are you going to see a deeper truth about cages and programs in general? Will you see it from a deeper perspective of life is always kind of moving from order to disorder at some level? Life is always occurring in this way, but it's who you are that it's who you are and how you perceive that bends what's occurring, this order from disorder. And I'm reminded of the movie The Matrix, when he walks in to go see the Oracle and the little boy's playing with the spoon. And he was like, the little boy is like, uh, do not try to bend the spoon, because that's impossible. You must bend. Or something like that. You guys know the quote. But it goes something like that. And what the little boy is actually saying is like, circumstances and the human experience is occurring for everyone out here. It's occurring for everyone out here in a very similar way. But it's how people perceive it that is different. It's people's mindset, mentality. And you can only perceive things at the level of your understanding. So, in most cases, people will only perceive you and perceive your way of being at the level of understanding they have. And if people haven't met themselves on a deep level, they're only viewing you from a state of their own self awareness. So their opinions, their judgment will come from a place of very, very low perception. And this is why chosen people are misunderstood, is because the general public does not actually have the capacity to understand somebody operating outside of their understanding, their perception. Like I said, their perception is met at the level that they met themselves. And if they haven't met themselves very deeply, they won't be able to see you at all. They will be able to see you with the level of perception that they have met themselves. So most chosen people are going to be misunderstood, intimidate, uh, even create fear in some people, even if you represent like love or something. Your love will be kind of misconstrued like, oh, what, they have an ulterior motive, because like majority of people are dealing with trauma and they haven't been shown correct versions of love, or even know how to receive it for real. So to the level of perception, it may look like you're trying to run like a high level finesse, and you know you can come off like a scary person. You know, you wanting to give something to them, for what? For what reason? What do you get in return? Like this can be beyond some people's level of understanding, and this can be very scary for a person, especially people who are like, have experienced deep traumas and perceive the world as the world is cold, or people, it's a dog eat dog world and people are out to get you. No one can be trusted. The closest people to you will get over at you. All these type of like, sayings that are kind of over society, that kind of mold our belief system. And I don't think it's by coincidence that our belief systems are molded to be in such fear, in such fear of each other. Uh, our belief systems are molded to be in such fear of each other that, let me cut off this air. Our belief systems are molded to be in such fear of each other that people are scared. People are scared to tell people how they really feel. People are scared to express to people any level of vulnerability. People are scared that you may even find out any levels of truth about them. People won't believe it, or they may find it hard to believe that you are expressing truths about you. You can tell, like in these days and times, you can tell people a direct truth right to their face and they'll believe it's a lie, because from their level of perception, they may not believe people can be honest, or a person can be honest about their real living situation, or you know. So chosen people operate beyond the traditional folks' understanding just because the fact that you are authentic and you move in authenticity. So, like I said, one of your tests is going to be you're going to be somehow divinely sent back into some situation, circumstances with people, places, or things that you thought or you may have thought you have grown from. And you will be placed back there. And quite possibly it'll be worse than it was prior, you know? It'll be worse than it was prior your experience. You may feel rejected. You may feel like you just stepped back and took some level of loss, or you may feel like you may get just hit with your own personal emotions about this. And this is where all these lessons in which you have learned come into play about because the journey they're like this thing stacks. You can only get to the next level by achieving aspects of yourself at prior level. So you have to come into play and use like these lessons of alchemy. What are you going to do with what are you going to do with this energy and emotion that you're feeling regarding yourself, and even your perception of yourself? Or are you able to look at this from a divine perspective? Are you able to take this energy and utilize it in a divine way? Because the truth is, you have been chosen. The only person that forgets about that is you. You weren't chosen because you don't make mistakes. You weren't chosen because you're so perfect that uh, you're capable of dodging bullets like Neo in the Matrix. You were chosen because ultimately your heart and your commitment to growth. You know, and a lot of other character attributes and traits. You know, that represent people who do not easily are easily food or sacrificed by the things of this world. Even if there's 1,000 people saying yes, you can stand on no if you believe no is the correct answer. So don't be so hard on yourself or think that you're obsolete from making any mistakes. Turn the fool into the magician and realize this was part of the plan for you to work your magic. Because ultimately, the fool does become the magician, or the fool becomes the shadow magician, where he becomes so upset and so disturbed from his own experience that he doesn't want to help anyone. He doesn't want to share anything. He's only going to evoke criticism to others because he internally criticizes him or herself. And this is the shadow magician. You wield all this power because you've been traveling the path. You met with the fool, and instead of looking at it from the perspective of your own self accountability and what you can do with it, you blame them, him, her, or the whole world. And you fall into frustration while divine chaos erupts and continues to erupt because you're creating it. You become so resistant to yourself that you're resistant to your own darkness, you're resistant to your own light, you're in conflict with you, and you're in conflict with him, her, he, them. So where do you exist at? But now in a cage that you've created and you've accepted and you put the lock on. And ultimately, this was the test to see how could you or how would you handle this energy? How would you handle this energy? Knowing and realizing that you're not who you thought you were. You're not as perfect as you thought you were. Your shit is not immaculate as you may have thought it was. And you're re-invited back into this darkness just to see that there is never going to be room for judgment. Because just as a monster lies there for you, a monster lies there for everyone. And that's where compassion comes in. And even though general mankind may not have the level of compassion to be open and transparent and communicative about these darknesses yet, you do. So you're always the teacher and you're always the student, but you're always guiding. And this is why you were chosen. You were chosen not because you were going to get it completely right. You were also chosen because you were going to get it totally wrong too. So I need you to take a step back and be easy on yourself if right now you're in some type of chaos that you may have feel you created. Or you're in some level of chaos that you feel like you're undeserving of and you didn't create. And how did you get here? And you're frustrated. I'm just asking you, what are you going to do with this emotion? Are you going to turn into this shadow magician? Are you going to free yourself with the same wine you've been given? And also free others. You've been placed back here. It's because the journey is always refining you. And you may have not seen it. You may have not noticed that there's still some ego there. Because if there wasn't ego there, you wouldn't have a thought of negativity on the experience. So your ego is being refined and put to death and put to death. Your ego is being put to death because the one thing we don't know and the general public has not realized is the ego is very limiting when it comes to the spiritual self and its growth. Because you will, like I said, somehow manage to create cages for yourself based off others' opinions, others' perception of you, your own perception of yourself and who you believe yourself to be, and what you believe yourself to represent. So you can only go as far as your own understanding. Now you cage yourself, because I don't care how smart you are. If you can only understand how far it can go, then you've boxed yourself in from divine calling in a walk into uncertainty. And you may have already took the step of uncertainty. That's how you ended up back here facing your doggone death of your ego. And you like, or you end up back here with this divine chaos, because you took a walk in uncertainty. You're like, God, I thought I was supposed to move uncertainty. And did you think it was gonna be peaches and cream? Very few people go, but you did. And there's something called Maslow's hierarchy, and at the top of this hierarchy, there's like basic shit at the lower levels. And then at the top, there's self-realization. Very few people make it to self-realization because they live their lives caged by how others perceive things. And this is why you've been chosen. You've been chosen because you're capable of walking into uncertainty. You're capable of walking through uncertainty to get to the other side. And you've been met right now where your ego can't make it to the other side with you. Your ego can't go. So you gotta let go of everything that you know for security to get there. And there's a promise over there for you, but you may be scared to go get it. Because on this journey, you lost. Maybe you lost people, lost time, lost relationships, lost yourself, losing the concept of yourself, losing your identity. Are you fearless enough to lose everything as you know it? To keep walking? Will you walk through divine chaos, knowing that it's divine and it's refining? Can you let go? Can you surrender? Can you accept who you are right now without confirmation of who you're becoming? And that's all I got to say today. I'm out.